Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. So last time, I did a bunch of stuff with bunnies and her character design, and just a bunch of nice things. And today, first order of business, I better finish up the two little deer I want to draw, and then I can go and finish Pippa. And I think that'll be great. So, I'm gonna turn my swatch on for now. There are some compositional things that I'm not quite sure if I like, but I'm not sure how to fix them, so I think I'm just gonna go back to working on the animals for now and hope a solution comes to me. The answer might be more animals, so we'll see how that shakes out. I might want to put like a bird or something in the foreground. There's just something that's bothering me a little bit. But, yeah, I think I should be able to figure that out as I get a little further along. Most of the time I like to figure out those things, like, way earlier than this. Didn't work out this time. It's fine. You know, I always say that I may have missed a spot or two, but I can fix it. I can fix it, like, right the moment I see it. And even if it maybe would have been ideal if I noticed a little bit sooner, well, the world is far from ideal. Sometimes these things just don't work out. So I'm not particularly concerned. It just means I might have to pull some shenanigans, but that's also pretty normal. Anyway, I just wanted to make the deer a little fluffier. I felt like the direction that a lot of the fur and stuff that I put on was a little bit insufficiently fluffy, a little bit random, perhaps. So I'm just putting a little bit more floof on in some key places. For deer, they're not like ultra fluffy or anything, so I'm kinda trying to keep their fur nice and short. You know, they don't get to be super fluffy like the bunnies, but I do want them to be kind of fuzzy. Just at least a little bit fuzzy. So I'm just gonna go in and fix that up until I'm happy. And then we can do things like give it a face. Yes, my poor little deer. Currently somewhat lacking in the face department. The other one will too, once I go in and, you know, overwrite its face. Oh yeah, and I also didn't put the light on the deer, did I? Yeah, I can see that this part is still like just a solid brown. Okay, so I still gotta do that too. So, still got some work to do on this little guy here. But it's okay, I think he's looking pretty good. I realized that I don't think I ever zoomed in properly on him, so no wonder everything just looks insufficiently fluffy. Those things happen when I try to fully render things well zoomed out. So I'm just gonna take my time and really get all this nice. I'll even give him a little bit of texture kind of on the inside of his ears. I think that'll be very cute. Right now, this ear may be a little bit too fluffy, so I'm gonna try to tone that down a bit. Fortunately, this brush lets me do that pretty easily. Kind of want a little bit more fluff here if I'm remembering what deer look like correctly. You know, maybe I should actually go look at a picture of a deer before I start doing any of this, but... Okay, I'll go do that. Where's my deer pictures? Here they are. Okay, so what do their little faces do? Yeah, their hair is very, very short. I'll probably make mine maybe just a slightly more fluffy than they actually are. As you know, this is still my universe, and I get to decide what things look like. And if I want the deer to be a slightly fluffier than they are in real life, then I can do that. That is very much within my power. I don't want to overdo it, though. Because otherwise then it won't look like a deer. It'll just look like a fur monster in a vaguely deer-shaped way. A vaguely deer-shaped body. And not quite what I'm going for here. And I do want to keep, deer-like qualities on all this. And if I overdo it and make it just a little bit too much, then I think it'll lose a lot of those qualities. So I do have to be careful. No matter how much I want to make a long-haired deer, it's just not the way to go. All right. So here we go. Just gonna floof out the edges here. I actually think this area looks pretty okay. Lots of little blotches, and I still think it looks pretty furry. So I don't really feel like I have to do too much over here. Just a couple little areas that I feel like are insufficiently fluffy. And then lots of little spots in the back of the leg here. Like, look how straight that all is still. Like, that's how I just initially draw things. So that tells me that I did not fluff out this leg quite well enough. So it's alright. We'll get it nice and fluffy here. Or at least nice and fuzzy. Okay. Let's see, and then I see that over here looks a little bit smeary, so I'm gonna try to floof out the deer a little bit better here. Okay, and I think that's probably fine. So let's go ahead and put some light on its face. I'm not gonna use any particularly special color or anything. I'm just gonna take this big sun color and just plop it on the face here. We're just gonna do it in blobs. And then it'll come on a few other places too. But I do find when I blob it like this, I get lots of nice little colors I can use for things, and it's wonderful. So, this is like the one place in my art where I can appreciate blobs. When I'm doing fur, especially shorter fur. So I'll just blob that on. I mean, you can already kind of see it taking shape. Right now, it's like the wrong kind of fluffy. But it'll get there. It will. Sometimes you just have to trust. So I'm just gonna casually plop it on all these places that I think the light is hitting. This is areas a little bit more directly in the light. So I'm not gonna go super hard on it. This down here will need a little bit more work because I can't just turn that into fur and call it good. Maybe just a little bit right through here. And I think that's good, so let's go make that fluffy now. You know, I titled this one after making cute animals, but I don't actually think I'm going to be drawing that many cute animals today. I think I'm probably going to be going for the 2 deer, and then I'm going to go render Pippa, because I still think she's looking pretty good. I think all the proportions are right, I think the design is fine, and all is well there, and it just seems like the only other animal really left in the foreground. Like, I guess I have this bird up here, but it's mostly just this rabbit, and then we got this guy derping around in the background, and this is why I'm not convinced I have enough animals around here, and I might add some more at some point. I might. We'll see how I feel about things. We shall see. But I guess I should start with the ones that I have. You know, that's what I always tell my kids. Of you better eat the food you got before you ask for more, because otherwise they would just have mountains of uneaten food. Just everywhere, and it's honestly terrible. I really hate wasting food. I do. It bothers me a lot. So, yes, I will finish what I have drawn here before I think about drawing more. And I'll try to fix some of those compositional issues that I keep mentioning before I add too much more. But first, I just kind of want to get things into a nice, stable place. I think it'll help me figure out what is actually a problem and what is, like, all in my head. Because that happens sometimes. Like, it happened... It happened many times when I was drawing Crony, where I just like, man, something is really wrong here, but I don't know what. And it turns out that at least a good, and I'd probably say like 3/4 of it was just that it was unfinished and certain spots didn't match stylistically, and it was bothering me a lot. And as I kept going, it looked better and better. And then maybe a quarter of it was that I wanted a dark spot on the big clock behind her, and I didn't realize that until... Man, it actually took me a little while to figure that out. Like a really long time. And I kept putting off finishing the clock until I finally just tracked down that issue, so worked out. Always does, you just gotta keep trying. See, this is why my goal to draw faster, I think, is really just gonna come down to relying a little bit less on intuition and getting being able to make these decisions the first time instead of having to flail and do a whole bunch of science and that kind of thing. As much as I am a fan of the experiments, it really would be nice to just get it right the first time and not have to do quite so much. But we'll see what happens. That's what I'm going to be practicing next year. Hello there, Blood Bullet. Welcome back. I never blended this part. Whoops. Okay, so I think once I get these little highlights on the deer here, that he'll be about done. I'll give him his little face, and that should do it. And then I'll go do the other one. Honestly, this wasn't as hard as I was afraid it might be. Most things aren't anymore. As long as I can find a reasonable collection of references. Like, it doesn't have to follow the pose or anything. The same pose I'm trying to draw or anything. I just need to know what the thing I'm trying to draw looks like. I'm not really afraid of drawing things I've never drawn before anymore. It always tends to work out just fine. Just gotta take it slow and look very critically. Really try to understand what is going on. Oh, congrats. I think it's a good little program. I like it lots. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I need too many lights on this leg, so I think that this level of lighting should be plenty. See, I have a little bit on the toes there, but that should all be fine. And then I have some lights through here. So I'll get those in, make sure they're all nice and worked into the fur. Fortunately, it's not too hard. It's like... Let me see, what options do I normally use? Basically just the brush, my layers, my history, here. Occasionally I'll go into tool options. Recorder is something else, but that's just for recording my speed paints. Occasionally I'll go up here to opacity. I use shift for size, so I just hold down shift and then scroll left and right and makes it big and small. This will turn your brush into an eraser. This will change the blend mode on the brush. I do use that occasionally. And then for tools I use basically brush, line, sometimes text, move, transform, crop. Occasionally I use gradients, but not very often. Yeah. Then your selections are down there. And that's about it, really. And I guess occasionally I'll go up into things up there. Oh yeah, and then there's this little thing here. That'll flip the canvas. It's very nice. It's all pretty straightforward, though. Not a lot you really gotta worry about. I've never actually felt the need to, like, use custom brushes or anything. I get the feeling I'm in a minority there. But that's been my experience on just about every program I've ever used, so I very rarely use these things. Personal taste. So, fortunately, I think it's pretty easy, and you don't gotta do a lot of derping around, I don't think. But, you know, as always, I think the best way to learn something is to mess around with it and just try things. So... It is. I mean, it took me a little while to get used to it after switching from Photoshop, especially the my basic hard round brush. The size sensitivity and control that you can get with Krita is way better than Photoshop was. So, you know, when I just have a regular, like, brush here, I can go from very, very thin if I press very lightly to very, very thick when I press hard. And it took me a little while to get used to that level of control. I mean, this is why you typically see me use a brush like 5 times the size of the thing that I'm actually trying to draw. Just because, you know, it took me a little while to get used to, but once I did, it felt really good because I could switch back and forth really fast. And that was fantastic. So, you know, there will always be little things. But as long as you actually use it, it's not so bad. Okay, what do deer eyes look like? They are like little almonds. Okay. So I'll give him the little almond eye. And don't worry, we'll make it cute. I think I'm gonna give the deer some blue eyes. What are their little noses like? It's kind of black. And I think I want to just put slight hint of a nostril in here. There we go. And I think I'm gonna make little deer eyes blue, so I'll take this color and just kind of brush in there. That's not a very good blue. It needs to be way more saturated than that. If I'm just gonna do a basic gradient eyes. So let's get in there. There we go. That should be pretty good. Then I want a little bit of light on the tip of the nose here. Okay. And now, make it shiny. There we go. And I think that's probably about all I need. But you know what? I kind of want to give him some tiny little eyelashes. Just because, you know, it's cute. I need no more reason than that. It's cute, so I'm gonna do it. Let him just a little bit longer. There we go. Cute little deer. Okay, I think that one's done. Oh wait, no, that's right, the inner part of the ear. What color is that? It's kind of a very gray-brown pink. Okay. I'll make it slightly more pink, but not like this level of pink. Like, that's extremely pink. So I'm gonna push it a little bit more toward the browns and a little bit more toward the grays. Maybe not quite that brown. And I'll put it somewhere around here, and then just taking another look at the deer again. They are so derpy. I actually might have made the ears a little bit small. Thinking about it. Okay. So I'll get that color in there. I'm gonna color over some of the stuff I did before. I will fix it. And it'll be fine. I'm gonna follow kind of the shape of the head here. Make it clear that it is going behind the ear there. There we go. And I'm feeling a little lazy, so I'm just gonna set my brush to multiply, grab my generic shadow purple, and I am gonna plop in a few shadows here. There we go, that should be fine. And then I just, oh, actually before I do that, I want to set this back to normal because otherwise I will forget and then I'll wonder if my brush is being weird. I know from experience, I do it often. That's why I've just started getting in the habit of changing it back the moment I'm done. And I'm not too worried about, like, overwriting the fur because I already know I'm gonna fluff it back over at the end. It's fine. I can do whatever I gotta do to make the inside of this ear look very cute. And I'm just kind of brushing through it with the airbrush to keep things nice and soft. And I'm just putting a vague ear shape there. I think this level of detail is probably fine, and I don't think it really needs any lights. Okay, so now, one last trip of making things fluffy. And I just brush right into it. Right into it. No need to fear. It'll look very, very cute. Okay. There we go. There's some big derpy deer ears. They really do look so dumb. Okay. So now I got another deer to deal with. I got a deer and I got the hat that he's holding. I don't think I'm gonna draw the coal on the snowman just yet. I actually realize that I will be drawing the snowman before I draw Pippa, but that'll be in a second. I want to get this deer. Okay. So looking at pictures of deer is telling me these ears are way too small. They must be big and extra dumb. Holy cow, I just look at these things and I'm like, man. Oop. There we go. That is big and extra dumb. I approve. I do continue to be very surprised by how large they are, though. I actually think I probably have these backwards. This one should have been the pink one, and this one shouldn't have been, but I guess this one's just twisting its ears funny. I don't really feel like redrawing it. It's not quite important enough to make me think I need to. But I'll get it right on this one. Okay. So once again, just gonna go look at a deer. I'm gonna go find a reference that is more at that angle. Okay, that one's pretty good. And this one's even a little baby deer. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, actually, I don't like those. I'm gonna try something else. Okay. So I will make it look like this little deer here. So once again, this one has a light spot around where the eye goes. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll get the rest of its little face before I go put ears on it. That actually makes more sense to me. I'm not sure what that is. So, probably not. At least not intentionally. Okay, so what I notice about deer heads is that they are small, for one. And they have this particular quality where the nose just really slopes downward, kind of like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna push the deer back just a little bit here. Yeah, man. Oh, okay. I didn't realize the hat was in the animals layer. Let's lock that. There we go. Just push him back just a little bit. Ah, I see. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. Honestly, if it's an anime that's come out in the last 5 years or so, I probably haven't heard of it. I've been... Well, I mean, I've been more of a manga reader for pretty much ever. I was straight up a manga elitist until I don't know. I want to say like 8 to 10 years ago. I stopped being a complete elitist about it, and a lot of that was just that anime adaptations before then were actually kind of terrible. Like, the animation was generally good. Yeah, and I mean, I have not been keeping up with anime, unfortunately. I just haven't been able to. Look, someday I will have free time again. Someday both my kids will be in school, and I will have free time again. Although at that point I might actually have to get a job again, which... Well, that's gonna be its own thing. So... maybe I won't. Who knows? Okay. So let's see. Little snout kind of coming out. I think this is a little bit too extreme, and I think the top of the head is too round. So, like, when I look at the deer, when I look at this deer, the head is actually pretty flat. Okay, then we got little neck there, and its little body is doing something like this, and I can kind of send its backside that way. I think I want to pull its legs a little closer together. So I'll just do that here. I don't think I need to break out the transform tools or anything. This leg should be a little further back. That I will bust out the transform tools for. It'll be a little easier. There we go. That should connect it a little bit more to the shoulder. And then I just fill in the gaps here, and all is well. Okay. Let's push in that shoulder a little bit. I do notice that on deer, where the shoulders are on their back is like super prominent. So I kind of want to capture that. It sticks up a lot. These are the kinds of things that I look for when I'm just checking a reference. There we go. Then legs. This one's coming forward. And let's see, its chest kind of sticks out too. It's got like a little bone or something right there. Okay. Now I'll try to get its little legs in. Because their legs have a particular quality. I still don't really like the head, but I've, for some reason, decided I want to do the rest of the body first. My brain decides these things sometimes. And you know what? I'm not going to question it. It's fine. Okay, and I do have to get the little hoof in there. This little one is not showing me its little hoof. So I'm gonna have to find another one that is showing its little hoof. I do want to actually see what it looks like. Okay, that one's decent. Okay. Yeah, and what I have on over on that side is a reasonable reference too. So let's try to get this little guy standing flat on the ground. Other one is going to be kind of buried back there, but that's all right. I'm going to leave the foreground on for now. I'm probably going to hide it in a little while, just to make sure that everything is in place and that nothing feels out of place, and I know which areas actually do kind of show up here. Let's see, things get real skinny in their legs, and then it gets a little bit wider out at the bottom. Probably extra stability on their feet. Which makes sense. When you run fast, and that's one of your best survival mechanisms, is just getting out of there before problems happen. It's important to have very stable legs. I'm still so surprised by how skinny deer legs are. Like they are a hella skinny. Okay, and I think that's fine. Yeah, it looks fine to me. Alright, I want to add a few spots on his back, but I think I'm gonna get the head first. Man, their heads really are just triangles. I never noticed how triangular deer heads are. They look very silly. Yeah, that's probably why I feel like this is too round, because deer heads are like super freaking triangular. Like same level as triangles as Crony. Unironically. Alright. I kind of want it to come down into the neck just a little bit more there. There we go. And this will also make that little shoulder blade a little bit more prominent. As it just goes and shyly gives Pippa the hat. It's okay. I think it being a little bit shy will also make it cute. Okay, let's give him its big, derpy ears. Okay, so... what exactly... oh man, I gotta find the other one I was using again. Google's not remembering it for me. Very rude. Alright, where are you? There you are. Okay. So I see it has one big derpy ear doing something like this. And then the other big derpy ear doing something like this. And there we go. That looks much better than what I had before. And I can even take little pink here and plop these in. And I think I'll leave it there. So let's go plop in some shadow colors. And we can get the show on the road. Actually, before I plop in the shadow colors, I would like to put a few more white dots on the deer's body. So I'm gonna get the splatter brush, and I'm just gonna splatter. Okay, hold on. I need to kind of clear what I have right now. It's not working for me, so let's go get something a little better there. Splatter brush, how I love you. I'm not big on brushes in general, but I really do like this one because it just lets me get very random patterns without my human brain pattern recognition kicking in and telling me, hey, look, there's a pattern there. And making everything very orderly and uniform, and it's terrible, I tell you. Human brains are the worst sometimes. Even here, with a little bit of help from the splatter, I still feel like I'm getting a little bit too uniform in some places. In fact, I better go hide my foreground, because I see that part of its body is kind of showing through back there, and it's no good at all. Why are you teleporting me to the wrong layer, Krita? I never clicked off this one. Why you gotta be that way? Anyway, hit it again. Rude. Anyway, just kind of want to fix up a few things back here. Then I will get back. I will get back to the regularly scheduled dotting. Okay. And I'm not really worried about making them too neat or anything because they're gonna get floofed. You got a little bit taste of the floof that's coming right at the beginning. So there's no need to worry about it. Just get it well enough. Okay. That, I think, is good. And I do think that what I did there was enough to solve the backside issues, so this should all be fine now. Let's make them fluffy. Or, you know, at the very least, fuzzy. Okay. No, wait. It's not time to do that yet. What am I talking about? It's time to put shading on. That's what I was about to do when I realized I didn't have the dots in there. What am I even talking about? And why? You know, this happened to be a while ago, and then it stopped for a while, and now it's back, and I hate it. Where it just, for whatever reason, after I pan, if I don't, like, draw something on the layer first, and I pan first, it just teleports me to a random layer. And I don't know why. And it's really annoying. And I'm gonna complain about it a lot, because it is really, really annoying. But I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. Anyway, deer shading. I'm just gonna keep it pretty simple. Just get some basic stuff going here. Get its little tummy. Very important. And then I will make sure that the spots kind of have more of the correct color. As opposed to the other shadow color. And that's probably fine. This time I'm going to put the lights on them first. I remembered this time, so that's always nice. Let's see, where else do I think there should be a little bit of light? Probably through here. Definitely through here on the back of the leg. I think there should be a little, like, out on the back. This guy's a little bit closer to the sun than the other guy, so I'll let him be a little bit brighter. Okay, there we go. That looks okay. Now we can make him fuzzy. Now it is time to make him fuzzy. Okay. Okay, so once again, I'm trying pretty hard not to overdo it. It's very easy to overdo it, and I do not want my dear friend here to be overly fuzzy. I should probably put the shadows in those ears, actually. I'm just gonna steal it from over here. Just realizing that this might actually be a problem if I don't do it now, so... Okay, that should be good. Back to the fuzziness. Okay. So as always, I just, I kind of go over all this and I just push things around in such a way that it creates little strands of fur. That's really the goal here, just pushing the colors around. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I really do like how things come together once I actually start blending things. It's very nice. I'll blur through here a little bit too, as long as I don't do any, like, strong fur patterns with this brush. I think it'll be fine for what I'm trying to do there. Get some fluff in the ears. I don't know if deer actually have fluff in their ears or not, but it looks very cute, so I'm gonna roll with it. In this case, it's the rule of cute instead of the rule of cool, but it's the same general premise. As long as it looks good, it works. Just gotta be careful doing that because, not all people may agree on what looks good. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Kind of want to bring a little bit more light onto the nose here. And a little bit more onto the face area. This is where its eye sockets are going to be. So I'm going to pull some of my light and shadow colors around there a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That's doing a little bit more what I want now. And I can get its little chin. Just pull that fur around. And gently, gently handle all the stuff in the back of the neck here. I don't actually want the shadows to be quite as dark as I have them, but I brushed in those shadow colors very unafraid because I knew that I'd be able to pull the light into them and make them a little smaller that way, and I'd get a nice little texture there. I mean, look how nice that looks. That's basically what I wanted there. And this was, just from lightly observing the various forms on a deer. Frankly, they're not that different from a lot of the musculature in humans. So I can just kind of use what I know there as a stopgap. It's different enough that I definitely... I don't feel like my little deer here are coming out quite as well as the people I draw. And I think it's also kind of in a weird, almost pseudo-realistic state because I'm not quite sure how to stylize it. But, it's passable. Especially since it's not really the focus here. It's just there to make Pippa look even cuter. And that's kind of what's important here, so... Oh, I never actually properly connected your leg. Whoops. I guess it ended up not being that important, but... Nonetheless, I feel the need to give myself a little whoopsie there. I need to pay more attention to those things. Okay. Now I'm gonna get into its little legs here. And they are connected now, which, it's useful. It's always very useful when your legs are actually connected to your body. Personally, I'd be very distressed if mine weren't. So... Okay, I'm not quite fully happy with the highlights and shadows up here yet. So I'm gonna go back over to the neck area, brush in some of those highlights a little more strongly. And go from there. Yeah, that's looking a bit better. I kind of want some more lights around the eye here. So I'm gonna brush those in a little bit too. And yeah, I think he's looking pretty furry. So looks good to me. And now I can freely just go back down into the leg. And I'll light the hooves at the end. Those I'm gonna have to clean up a little bit better than I have. It is what it is. And you know what? I think after all this, I'm gonna go get that little hat that he's biting into. And I'll figure out how I want to portray that with his mouth. And after that, Yeah, after that, I think it's going to be deer, then hat, then snowman. And I'll just finish all those things. All the things that are kind of sitting on top of Pippa here. And, you know, the nice part is that I think I might actually do Pippa's hands earlier than I normally would. Just so that this way I know how they're overlapping with the hat and the snowman. So that this way I can just mask them off properly. And I can just get that done right away. You know, that sounds pretty fantastic to me. So yeah, I do think that in order to get her hands well, I do need to know like where her neck and shoulders are. So I'll be doing that. Probably get her coat, cape, shawl, poncho thing done first then. So that this way I know where her arms are and how much I have to care about them. And I can go from there. I don't know why I'm plotting all this out in my head because, you know, I never actually stick to what my brain comes up with when I'm doing this. But, you know, I'm just here texturing fur and I don't have much else to think about. The joys of rendering. Why are you weird there? Like, what is happening there? I thought that was just some snow in the foreground. Am I wrong? Do I have, like, a random light spot there? Yeah, I like Krita's brushes. I mean, there's a reason I've never really felt the need to download any. I think their default ones are all pretty good. Okay, this part was just the wrong color, so I'm just gonna fix that real quick. With the wet brushes, if you press hard with them, they will plop down color. But if you just press really lightly, they just push it around. So for the most part, I'm just pushing around the color. But there, apparently I had a bad color there that I did not fill in properly. So I pushed hard and I was able to fill in the spot with the correct color. It's very convenient. This way I don't have to be switching brushes all the time. And you know, even though Krita does have a bunch of really nice brushes, 90% of the time I'm still just using the hard round brush. I do like my hard round brush. I do like my hard round brush. I actually used to draw hair and fur and stuff. A lot of it more on the realistic end, too. With just either a hard round brush or a soft round brush. That tended to be how I rolled. I still remember when I was getting started, I had so many narratives about the evils of digital because, you know, this was a long time ago, before digital was, like, normal. And the internet being both smaller and I don't know, weird about it. Didn't like digital, and then pretty much all my teachers at like school, they didn't like digital. So I kind of felt like I was cheating if I didn't draw it myself using default brushes, and I just always wondered, you know, if I could really call it mine if I was using someone else's special brush or something. I think it's a terrible way to look at art, but it did teach me how to make things happen with without having to care about brushes. And that part of me wants to learn how to actually use brushes properly, so that this way I can save myself some effort. On the other hand, I can draw very unique clouds because I don't use a cloud brush. So there you go. Who knows? There are pros and cons, I guess. But I like digital. I can't imagine drawing with any other medium. I have tried. I do not like them. Digital is the best. I love it. Makes sense to me, given I have always been a computer person, that I would indeed like using computers to make art instead of, I don't know, rocks and sticks and stuff. Because let's be real, that's literally what pencils and paints are. Rocks and sticks and stuff. Sometimes bugs. Okay. I don't think it's a bad thing, by the way. Use whatever you want to draw. There's a lot of really lovely analog art out there. It's wonderful. And I always love seeing some of the mixed media stuff where people do parts of it in digital, parts of it in analog. And I think it's fantastic. Well, just the things that people can do. And even if you're fully analog, there's really cool stuff there too. It's what people used for hundreds of thousands of years. So it's also very cool. And even though I have no desire to do it myself, I'm actually really happy that there's like entire communities of people trying to keep old techniques alive. So that I've seen entire communities dedicated to just mimicking the techniques of a certain time period, using the same types of paints that they use, sometimes with some substitutions for ones that have like actual dangerous substances in them. Lead used to be a very popular thing to put in paint. You gotta be careful with that. Needless to say. But I really am glad that there are communities out there keeping those kinds of things alive. Because I do think it is important to remember what people used to do and kind of honor that. Okay, and I think that this is a sufficiently fuzzy deer, so I guess I'll go give it a face. Yeah, give it some cute little eyes here. So your little eyes gonna go in here. They're kind of almond shape. And I'll give you some little eyelashes because I like to. Why not? I can do what I want. And then a little nose. Does something kind of like this. That's probably fine. Okay, and then once again, I think I want to give him some little blue eyes. So I'm just gonna brush in with a little gradient. I always like doing that with animals that just kind of have black eyes. You know, just put the slightest hint of color in it. I think it looks nice. I have it locked, right? I don't. Okay. I just want to put a little bit of light on the nose here. And then I can make them shiny. Now it looks a little bit less soulless. Congrats. Alright, let's get some hooves in there. I think I'm just gonna steal the colors from the other one. So I'll just grab those real quick. So that color and that color, that will be hoof. Still teleporting me down to my trim layer for some reason. Computers are weird sometimes. I guess you get used to it. They do exactly what you tell them to, and sometimes it's just not what you intended. So I'm gonna brush in the light spots there, and there we go. That is a second finished deer. So let's see, I do indeed have all the bunnies on her done, the bird on her shoulder, the two deer kind of interacting with her and the snowman. Let's draw a little top hat. Let's see. I'm just thinking about how I want to go about this. But falling asleep. Gotta do something about that, always. Let's see here. Okay, so the way it looks to me is the deer is kinda chewing on the hat right about there. And then this part is going around its mouth. So I'm gonna kind of get the brim first. And then I will get the other part. The parts to kind of sticking down. So let's see, where I want its mouth to be is like right around there. And like I said, I will clean it up a little bit after. I actually see some stray pixels. Okay, maybe I don't. But first, I just kind of got to get the gist done. I think it should actually be a little bit flatter if I'm going to do it like this. Where we see a little bit less of the inside. Okay. So now I kind of want to zoom in and smooth that out a little. And I'll go around. Just like that. And then I want to adjust its mouth just a tad. Just gonna cut it off a little right there, so this way it looks like it's in its mouth. And then I'm going to extend the fur portion downward. Down here. So that this way it looks like its mouth is open a little bit. And I think that's all I really need to do. Everything else, I think, looks fine. So I'm just going to take my time, get this circle looking the way I want. Still think it should be a little flatter up there. There we go. And then I can draw the little top hat part sticking out. I'm trying to keep it kind of parallel to the curve around here. And that should do it. In theory. Right now they're not very parallel to each other. I think that's probably okay. I can fix it. Actually, you know what? Before I draw the brim, or not the brim, but the hat part, I'm just gonna smooth all this out. I'm gonna get it exactly the way I want, and then I'm gonna duplicate the layer and use that instead. I think that'll be easier than trying to draw it because then I can just have it on a separate layer for me to light properly, and then I can merge them back together. And I remember what top hats look like. They have kind of a streaky quality to them. And I think the easiest way to get that streaky quality is actually with the smudge tool. So I'll be using the smudge tool instead of an airbrush to blend my colors. Once I get this smooth, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of light the side here. So this side I think is just kind of receding into the light. So I'm just gonna do that. Let's see, what color are you? Did I ever fix your color? I did. Okay, this is fine then. And then I'm thinking about how I want to handle the rest here, because I could, in theory, take this color and push it all the way around, but I don't actually think that'll look good. Yeah, I don't really think so. But I don't really have a lot of room for shadows here. Because even if I use solid black, that's like barely visible at all. Well, let's see how it shakes out. I'll start there, and then I can lighten up other areas as I deem necessary. Okay, so now I can duplicate this layer. I'm gonna push it down here. Oh. Get rid of the excess. And I can make it the size that I want the other part of the hat to be. And now its lines will be fully parallel, and I can just connect. And I think that's a little bit easier than just trying to draw it. It's a little skewed. That's fine. I still have all the shapes that I want. So now it's just a matter of connecting it nicely. And then up on the original layer, I can grab the shadow color here and make the little hole where it, you know, you'd put it on your head. I don't think that's quite the right size. So I'm gonna fill it in a little bit and try to get my perspective a little bit more accurate. And I'll just keep going back and forth until I'm happy. And then I can figure out how the light hits this. Okay. So I'll go ahead and figure out how the light hits it. There's definitely going to be a lot on this side, but I think there's also going to be a little bit on this side. Kind of the same with up here. There's going to be a lot over here, but I think there's still a little bit over there. Okay, and how do I feel about this? I will want to soften some of these things, but I think this actually looks fine. This is something that I want to make sure looks pretty good because it actually is pretty relevant to the focal point. It is one of the highest contrasting areas. I did deliberately put her hand right around here in this gap in the mountains so that this way I could have this really dark spot against the really light spot in the background. So this is an area that I expect people to look. I do want to make sure that it actually looks nice. I don't want to skimp out on the details here. I'm going to take a quick look at a top hat, and I got a sneeze coming. Yeah, they do tend to have a little silk ribbon around it, but I think that's actually going to be hidden by the brim of the hat here. So I don't really think I need to draw it. They're actually a little bit more curved than I thought they were. Okay. I should keep that in mind. But actually, that makes this part that I thought was wrong actually kind of makes sense. And indeed, they do have a bit of a streaky quality to them. That was the one thing that I really remembered about top hats. So I'll just be grabbing the smudge tool here and smudging the edges a little bit in order to get that streaky quality that I remembered. So you can see as I pull things here, kind of leaves little streaks behind. And that's what I wanted to try to get. Just little streaks. Little streaks. Okay. I want to make this a little straighter. I feel like it's a little bit crooked. There we go. There we go. I don't like the shadow at the bottom there. That's just some leftovers. Now I just want to blend this a little bit more strongly. But still kind of keep that streaky quality that I keep mentioning. Okay, how's the bottom look? Not bad. Yeah, I guess it depends on the type of hat. When I think of top hats, I kind of think of the silk ones. So I think that's why I'm remembering the kind of streaky quality. So that'll be the kind that I draw here. I guess I could have used any texture. But this is what I remembered, so I figure I might as well. Okay, and then I want a little shadow right in the middle, and I will make that streak as well. It should make the material look nice and shiny once I get it all in there. Let's see, I think I can even afford to make the light part a little bit brighter. So I'll go brush a little bit more light on. Just right at the edge, I think. Maybe not right at the edge, just more like right here. Because I see a lot of silk top hats actually don't have their bright highlight at the edge, like you might expect. It's a little bit off to the side. But I still want to make sure it looks like it's facing the sun. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna brush over that a bit, make it a little shinier, and then I'll grab the airbrush and kinda move it out a little bit to make it a little bit shinier. All that good stuff. And you know what? I think that's not bad. Now let's see. This part. I think I want to change its shape a little because I didn't realize just how curved they were. So I kind of want to send this part up a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit more top hat-like. And I'll send this part down a little bit. Actually, no, this part should be going up a little bit. This part should be going down a little bit. This is why it's important to actually look at the thing you were trying to draw. I would not have gotten it as accurate as I could if I just decided to draw it from memory. You don't have to copy the pose, but it's good to know what things actually look like. It's very useful. Okay, now I can kind of start blending the side out there. And I'll try to get this part as shiny looking as this part. So that this way they match, and they don't look weird. Okay, so I'm taking another good look at him. Let's see, I don't know, there's something about the lower shape there that's just not quite working. I feel like there's a couple of blobs. So I'll grab my hard round brush and I'll have to, you know, work out some things at the end there, but it's fine. I'll blend in the colors and all will be well. It's better than having a blobby looking hat. So much better than having a blobby looking hat. If this was somewhere slightly less prominent, I might have left it. But I do really feel like this is like a secondary focal point, this handoff between the deer and Pippa. I do think that this will be a place that people look, because, you know, I do want to show her actually interacting with all the animals. It's important. And I think it's like half of what makes this picture really cute. So I don't want to mess around on all the little points of interaction here. Gotta flip it over. Just really make sure that I get this curve nice and curved. On this picture, I get to embrace the curves. Hello there, Protox. Welcome back. Okay. I want this to be a little bit less rounded. And now I think I can just blend things. And I can get all this just into its final state. And everything will look nice. In theory. That's the goal, at least. Okay. And I think I want the back side of the brim here to kind of go a little further back. So I'm going to flatten this here, lift up the hole in the middle. And for once, I don't actually mind if things get a little bit blurry, because this style is very soft. So I'd probably make things a little bit blurrier around the edge myself at some point anyway. So I'm just gonna touch it all up until I'm happy. I don't quite like the shape going around out here, so let's just get that looking very nice. Unfortunately, I don't have this part filled in on the lower layer, but I think I can just lift it up. Just due to the angle that the hat is at, in theory. Top hats aren't like that big, are they? Oh no, they actually kind of are. Okay, I'll do it properly then. No being lazy for me. Just fill it in. It's not that big a deal. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my solid black, just so that I can see the difference between the two layers here. And I'm going to draw the shape that I think this actually should be. I'm at the point where I think drawing it is going to be easier than plodding along with Liquify. I just want that shape to be perfect. And then on this side, this part should go a little bit higher. And this part should go a little bit higher. It's fine that the colors are a little bit off right now. I just want to get the shape right. And then I want to get the shape right all the way through here. And all the way around the deer. So how's all that? Does that look a little better? I think so. And I'll put the ribbon on at the end. Is she asking money from the deer? No, she's building a snowman, and the deer is trying to help. It's all very wholesome and cute. But we're getting the most wholesome Pippa here. There's nothing nefarious in this picture, only cute. Let's see, something about the angle of that still feels a little bit wrong. I could adjust either the top or the bottom here, but I like the way the bottom looks right now, so I'm going to adjust the top. I might have to adjust the bottom a little bit, but I'm hopeful that I won't. Just because it'd be kind of inconvenient. Okay, it's small. But you know what? Having a small top hat for the snowman, I think is fine. I'm probably gonna have to move the deer back a little bit. Which actually probably means that I'd have to move Pippa back a little bit, but I kind of wanted her head to be right about there. So I don't really want to move her if I can help it. Let's see, does she just look better further back, though? Oh, I have her head locked. I could move the animals accordingly, so that'll be fine. Yeah, actually, maybe I should get the animal layer in here, too. And just grab the ones that I know need to move. I gotta be real careful about that, though. That deer in the background is on a different spot, so he'll be fine. Yeah, this is where I have to be careful. Okay, that's actually really... We'll just move Pippa. I'll move the animals separately. Yeah, now our head starts getting close to the trees. That's kind of why I didn't want to move her, and why I wanted her in that spot. So no, I really do want to keep her there. Okay. It's okay, I think I can still make it work. Let's see here, I'm gonna move the deer over a little bit. I do see that there is another little animal I'm grabbing with this, but it's kind of unavoidable. It's okay, I can move it around as I see fit. But there we go. With the size of the hat, I kind of do have to have it like this. I think it still works compositionally. Let me turn off my swatch and just take a look. I think it's okay. It seems like a small thing, but the small things can add up, and I think it'll be okay. I do have to move the tree over, though. Because I gotta keep some of these things working for me. So let's see here. Okay, I only want the trees on this side to move. Okay, and then I see that there's a few trees in the background that must also move. We're just reality warping around this dear Pippa handoff. Everything must be based around that. Okay, and then I need to adjust the mountains. Yes, even the mountains must adjust for the sake of Pippa in this world. Thus declares me. Okay, there we go. And then just a little bit. Mountain, there we go. Took me a second to find it. I gotta change the shape of this because that's not gonna work with her ribbons. But there we go. I think that's a little bit better. Let me turn off the swatch and double check this. Wouldn't it be nice to have reality warping powers like this? I always wish I had them. Then, you know, I could just move the mountain over a little bit and block the sun when it's at that really annoying spot and goes through my door. I have a sliding glass door at the back of my house going to the backyard, and the sun always likes to get in my face at a certain time of the day. And I hate it. I hate the sun. How I wish I could just move the mountains up a little bit at that time of day and not have to worry about it. Sounds fantastic. Okay, let's draw the rest of a hat. Okay. So I'm just gonna blend things out here. This should be a pretty hard line, so I'm gonna press really hard with the airbrush in order to make that happen. And then, you know, once this is all done, I can add a little ribbon to it. Most of the time it'd be a black ribbon. I might make it a different color for this one. I think pink would be too much, though. So it might still end up being black. But I think I'd like to try blue. Like the light Pippa blue. And see how that looks. I don't really know what to expect there. That's why I say it might be a little bit much, but I want to try it. I just want to try it and see what happens. Okay. I think the shape is looking much better now. And where the deer and her hands are also makes way more sense now. So, there we go. I want some more light back there. And I want it to kind of fall off quickly. Make the brim here look a little bit more three-dimensional. And then, you know, eventually I'll take the smudge tool to this in order to give it that streaky feeling. Okay, let's go give it that streaky feeling now. I think this will be the easiest way to do it. Smudge tool, very good at making things a little bit streaky. That's how I did the entire bottom part. It's a little bit harder here because I'm kind of at the edge, but I'll use the textured one. The textured one might be a little bit too strong. But failing that, I can also use some of the other wet brushes and stuff. But no, this seems to be doing the job. Just get a little bit of streakiness in there. Okay. And I think that looks pretty good. That looks very top hat-like. Alright. So, ribbon. Let's see. I don't think... Do I have the blue on my swatch? I might, actually. I probably do. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. So let's see here. It curves... Oh, it teleported me down to trim again. Dang nabbit, Krita, why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do to you? Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Actually, it has some Frosty the Snowman vibes. I forgot that he had a ribbon of a similar color. It was kind of white. And I think that's appropriate here. So I'm not gonna... I don't think I'm gonna put a bow on it. I think that's weird. I guess I can see what it looks like. I guess it is a little bit cuter, but nah, I don't think I want it. So I'll go put light on this side. I think I'll just use that color again for the shadows. And I'll put a little bit of light on that side too. And then I can just make it all streaky again. That should make it look like a nice silk ribbon. Okay, and I think that's good. So there we go. We got a hat. Now I can draw a snowman. Alright. So I have this, like, half-defined. I think the outer edge is all good. I might make it a little bit rougher so it looks a little bit more snowy. But in terms of general shapes, until I'm ready to, like, go in and render the whole thing, I think it's good. So that'll be the hat that goes on its head. So for now, I want to kind of define all the little coal bits. So they all have slightly different colors. The bunny is supposed to be moving this one, so I kind of want it a little bit more around its mouth. I'll make this one a little bit smaller too. And I think I'll even raise it just a little bit higher to make it clear that the bunny is trying to put it into place. And then I just want to make the edges rough. So get some vaguely rock-like texture in there. So that's what that bunny's doing. That bunny is putting one of its eyes in place. And I do want to make sure that the rocks here look very lumpy. I feel like it's just not a proper snowman if you can find a perfectly round rock. Gotta be lumpy and silly looking. And I'll just do the same for all of them. One by one, I'll make them nice and properly lumpy. Just nice and lumpy. Okay. And I'm trying to make all the lumps, you know, different sizes, and I want to make sure that each rock kind of has its own unique identity and all that good stuff. But I'm not thinking about it too hard. I'm just kind of letting my hand make whatever shapes it feels is interesting in the moment. With some of the stuff, I think if you think about it too hard, you just won't make anything good. It'll be too constructed. So this is where, you know, just having no thoughts in my head is actually useful. Okay, and then this one I want to be particular about. I haven't finished that one, it's fine. Because I want to make sure it looks like it's in the deer's mouth. And so I'm going to go back to the animal layer, and what I'm going to do, much like with the other deer, I'm going to kind of extend the furry part here. And then I'm going to just kind of cut off part of it, so it's not furry. And then it should look like it is kind of vaguely in its mouth. And I think that is sufficient for what I'm trying to do. Where the heck did I put the snowman? There it is. Okay. I just lost it for a second there. Alright. Back to what I was doing. I want to finish this one. I skipped ahead because that's where my brain was like, ah, yes. That is what I must do. Okay, and I see some, like, stray pixels or something. There we go. I want to get those as I see them because otherwise I'm gonna forget, and, you know, that would just be terrible. There we go. I think that's fine. They look appropriately lumpy. They're all of varying sizes. They look like rocks that you might have found laying around. I'll probably even draw some rocks out in the snow. At some point. Eventually. And, you know, once again, I'm gonna kind of take it easy, and I'm just gonna set my brush to multiply and color over where I think some shadow shape should be. Oh, it teleported me to the trim again. Man, life is hard. Okay, there we go. And I'll just, you know, put in little dots and stuff. And I'll make this all look rocky in a little bit. The highlights are what is really going to sell it, which is why I'm not trying very hard on the shadows. But they are necessary to an extent, especially in some of these lighter ones. But these are dark colored rocks, so shadows aren't going to stand out very much on them. Okay, let's put in the lights now. That I will do with the airbrush. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to do it with the opacity brush. I want them to be a little bit harder edged. But I still want some opacity on it. And then I'm going to scribble. There's just going to be a bunch of scribbling. I'm getting lots of little values in there, lots of different colors. And then once I smooth this out, it should all look pretty good. But it's going to look real weird for a while. It's going to look pretty bad. But that's just how things are sometimes. And I'm just plopping in some basics so that this way I can get a variety of colors. And after that, I'll decide, like, the actual structure of some of these rocks. Like, where do I want to put lights and whatnot? All that good stuff. Not even sciencey, just scribbling. Science implies that I have a hypothesis I'm testing. There's no hypothesis here, just scribbling. Okay, I think that's good for a first step there. And now I just make it all look nice. I think I'm going to stick with the opacity brush. And then kind of decide where some of these grooves are going to go. And this way, the edges are hard, and I am not going to be tempted to just put a bunch of soft edges into here. And I won't be tempted to make things too smooth. They are rocks. They are not smooth. They must not be smooth. It doesn't make sense for a rock to be very smooth. These are not little river rocks that have been worn down by water and time for, you know, only God knows how long. These are mountain rocks. They are rough and hard. And I want to make sure that is conveyed. You can see I'm not trying very hard at the shadows at all. There's a few here and there. And I think that's fine. This is a soft picture, so I can leave certain parts a little bit rough, especially on a rock. And over here, I've decided that this is facing the light. Sounds good to me. I'm just kind of letting my hand do the work and make all the choices for me. And I'm just noticing where I put all my shadows and where some of these highlights shook out. And I'm just plopping in a little bit more texture here and there to make things sufficiently rock-like. See, putting on textures is actually pretty easy. Sometimes you just gotta scribble. And sometimes that's really all it takes, just a little bit of scribbling. Opacity brushes are neat. It has been a while since I've used them properly, but they do nice things. There we go, that's good. Let's do the next one. Let's see, this one looks like I wanted it to look something like this. Where there's a plane like right there, and then another plane, a smaller one over here. You can see for this one, I'd opted not to update my swatch or anything. It's fine, I don't really feel like I need to. I'm, you know, literally just scribbling. I'm just paying attention to which parts I feel like are hitting the light there, which ones have like the biggest planes facing it, and where bits of the rock is turning. But frankly, that's way more complicated, just saying that, than what actually feels like is happening. It's just, you know, if you ever pick up a rock, they don't typically just have... They're not like perfect cubes. There's not just one side facing the light. So you can kind of break up planes and use various colors to get stuff like that. And you can pretty much do what you want. It'll look like a rock. So I'm just trying to put some interesting shapes and various crags in there. I don't want to spend too long on them, though. Just long enough. But I don't think they're super important. They just need to... They just need to do their job, you know? I just need to be there and look nice with a little bit of interest. Since the snowman is an important point in the drawing as well. It's what Pippa and all of her animal friends are working so hard to build. Just a nice little snowman. Okay, that's fine. The light might actually be a little bit strong, so I'm gonna tone it back in just a couple of places, but not gonna worry about it too much. There we go. That's good. Okay. Only a few more left. And then, it'll be time to make the snow look nice. And I think that'll be a little bit more interesting, because snow is kind of interesting, because it is like smooth and bumpy at the same time. Especially if it's disturbed, like it will be here. Because, I mean, you gotta disturb it a little bit in order to roll it up into a big snowball like this. Foreground is in the way. Interfering with my colors a little bit now. I've decided that the bottom half is not hitting the light quite as strongly as the top half. And all I gotta do is make this part a little bit lighter. Or a little bit darker, I should say. And there you go. Suddenly I have a plane that is no longer directly facing the light. Easy peasy. Like, look how effortless that is. And I'm just kind of paying attention to where I put various, like, grooves and stuff on the outlines there. And that's kind of where I'm deciding to put some of these lighter or darker spots. Okay, that's good. Next. See, hands have good ideas all the time. They really do. So I do like to try to pay a little bit of attention to them. Just when I draw with no particular thought in my mind, what kind of shapes come up? What happens? It's kind of magical. Okay, so let's see here. I kind of want a little bit of a light spot right there, but otherwise, that's fine. So this is just how I take it from scribbles to something coherent. It looks like my hand decided that up here is like super directly facing the light, so I'm gonna make it a little bit more of a solid color there, and then I'm gonna make a nice dark plane for me back there. Something like that. There we go. And then, you know what? This looks kind of cool, so I'll put a little rough spot right there before it gets light again, because the light is starting to hit it again. And, I mean, look how nice and rock-like that is. That sure is a rock. Okay, and then it looks like my hand decided that there was another plane right there, and you know what? That's fine by me. Let's do it. And now it's fairly clean. I don't really feel the need to make rocks 100% clean. They are rocks. They're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be, you know, bumpy and imperfect. It's what rocks do. I'll see how I feel about it next time if I feel like it's a little bit too rough, but you know what? I doubt it. I do kind of doubt it. Okay, that looks pretty rock-like, so let's get this last one. The one that the deer is holding. I do like his little face. I think he's got a very cute little face. I think I want a softer plane right there. I'm going to connect these two. I think it's a little bit too much with them separated. Yeah, that looks better. That does look better. Now I just kind of fill out the back spot there. I don't mind there being another little plane right there. I think that's pretty okay. And then I just smooth some stuff out. Okay, and that looks pretty rock-like. And you know what? I do think that looks fine. I think that the lights I have on it are a little bit strong. So for that, I will grab my airbrush and the base color and kind of go over it a little bit. And I might go back over it again one more time with a little bit more light, just to put in a couple of extra highlights, but I do feel like the light is a bit strong, so I'm just gonna blanket darken everything. Okay, and then I can just grab that one last time. I will take the opacity brush again, and I just want to brush in just like little highlights along a couple of edges. Just where I feel like the light is hitting things the strongest. And I'm going to be very, very sparing with these. Don't want to mess around with this, because, I mean, we just saw what it looks like when I overdo it, and it's very easy to overdo. Highlights are so much fun. They are an absolute blast, so you gotta be very careful. Okay, and there we go. Those are rocks. Now then, it is time for Snowman. So this is where things are going to get interesting. So let's see. How do I want to tackle this? So what I think I'm going to do, I have a lot of the shadows the way I like them. So I'm going to blend very, very roughly. Just very roughly, very firmly. Oh, and it brought me down to the trim layer again because Krita's being a jerk today. There we go. And I'm gonna go for this kind of shape. I like using the wet palette knife to just really scrape things along. And I think it can get some pretty cool little patterns. And then once I have those initial cool patterns, I can really texturize things. So I have a plan. Don't worry, I think I know what I'm doing this time. But it's gonna look a little bit weird for a while. Don't worry about it. And I'm not even gonna add the shadows from the animals yet. Not yet. Okay. Next step. I want more colors from the sky. I did scrape some of them away. It was necessary, but I want to kind of bring some of that back. So, some of them weren't in great spots, so that's why it was kind of necessary. But, you know, the snow is white. So it's going to absorb lots of color from the sky. And I want some of that in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of purple into the shadows. And I'm going to put, you know, some of these pinks up in the highlights. And a little bit in the midtone. But the yellow will also be quite strong. And just the parts that I think should be the lightest. Okay, so there's a decent start. So this is where things are going to get weird again, because I think, you know what? I get to play with brushes for a little bit. I don't normally use them. But I think that this one, this particular splatter brush, has some nice things going on for snow texture. I do. I think it's got some stuff going. The watercolor brushes do have some kind of nice splatter brushes. I use them occasionally for splatter things, but so I do think this texture is a little bit strong. I will be taking it back a bit, but I just kind of want to start brushing some things in. And then I'll go back and, you know, pick some colors from the sky, as I've been doing, and I'll gently kind of plop them in. Once again, I do feel like they are a little strong. And that's okay. 'Cause I can pull them back as much as I need to. And I just kind of want to go through this pretty quickly. And I'll go in and add all the other shadows and stuff as I need. But I think he's already looking a little bit snowier. Okay, so now, time to blend. So this is where I get my friendly airbrush and start doing the usual things. With here, I have to be careful not to overblend, since I do want some of that texture to shine through. But I do want to make sure that it is relatively smoothed out. I don't want everything to be over-textured. Okay, and I already know that I have my shadow color over here. The Joy of Swatches. And then I can just go over anything that I feel like is a little bit too strong. And at some point, I can even put some of my other colors back. Just, I don't know, add a little bit of variety. It'll be nice. Okay. So that's a bit better now. So I'm gonna start kind of working the outer edge, and you know, I'm not actually quite sure I'm gonna do this one, so this is where the science comes in. Does this do what I want? Does this kind of add... Yeah, I think it does. So this will make things look a little bit snowier on the edge. I'm just using the textured smudge tool. I just worry that it looks a little bit too furry. So you know what? Yeah, I think it looks a little too furry. Let's try a different one. I don't think the regular smudge tool is going to quite do what I want. Yeah, that's not it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the job for my friend, the airbrush. I don't know. There's lots of random textured brushes here, so I'll try a few of them and kind of see what it does. I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of messing around. Like, it's fun to just kind of mess around occasionally. So I know I want some kind of texture there, I'm just not quite sure what. And I've said a few times, I do want to incorporate various brushes into my workflow a little bit more, because I think it'll save me time if I get good. So you know what? Let's mess around a bit. No, that's not quite doing what I want. Snow just has this, like, crunchy texture to it. The splatter brushes are going to be way too much. Oh, this one's actually quite good, though. Yeah, let's use this one. But yeah, I want to get a little bit of that crunchy texture in there. Let's derp around. Have a good time. And I don't want it to be completely smooth. I want there to be, like, some bumps in just places where it's not a perfectly round snowman. So there we go. Let's get the outside of the snowman just a little bit more snowy. I can even go in and kind of adjust everything in here as I see fit. Nothing is set in stone. I can do whatever I want. Okay, so I wasn't really able to do too much with Pippa here, but I had a pretty good time with everything I think I did do today. So it's all right. I should be able to get to her a little bit. I'm almost done with the snowman here. Let's see. Let's add just like a little bit more just random stuff kind of around here. Right now, I feel like it's like a little bit too perfect. So here, I'll kind of make the bottom a little bit flatter. I find that snowmen tend to do that. And at the bottom, I think I'm actually going to use this as an eraser and kind of erase the bottom a little bit. So that this way it looks like he's just kind of sitting in the snow. Okay, there we go. Okay, how's that? Yeah, that looks pretty snowy. I think I can be happy with that. And then I'm just gonna go around and play with the textures until I'm happy. Because I don't think that a snowman should be shaded like a circle, like a pure sphere. There's gotta be rough parts, and there's gotta be parts where the shadows kind of stick out or stick in, and places where... I don't know. I just think it's a little bit too perfect right now. And I also need to shade the rocks. But I'll get the rocks in a little bit. This is why, like I said, I'm just kind of messing around right now, and I like just messing around sometimes. That's when I get to try things, and it's fun. I think it can be easy to get caught up in making things nice, and then I'm just like, glorious bits of messing around. Feels good. I mentioned a while back that Mob Psycho was one of my favorite animes. I actually read the comic first, because like I said, I read more comics than anything else. I guess it technically qualifies as a manga. It's self-published, but I think the guy's Japanese. It doesn't follow the Korean standard, so... Anywho, I guess it's not important, but yes, I read the comic first. And... that is just, like, the epitome of shitposting, and it is wonderful. Unironically. It is. It is great. And I do think it just shows that not taking yourself too seriously can yield good results and still tell good stories. I don't know. I need to remind myself often. Then I think I might incorporate a little bit more splatter brush in a couple places, but no, I think this is actually about where I want it. I think I'm just gonna put the rock shadows and the animal shadows directly on with this brush. It's working for me. It's got kind of a snow texture going on, and I approve, so I'm gonna roll with it. This bunny I picture a lot closer to the snowman, so I'm making the shadows around him close and firm. And of course, these rocks are right in it, so it's the shadows are going to be right up next to the rocks. Very firm, and I might even make them a little bit darker. Yeah, I think I'm going to go over those with a darker color in a little bit, but first I want to get this one on. I'm being very sparing with the shadows that are facing the direction of the sun there. I do think it needs a few just due to how close and how pushed into the snow it is. But I do want to be very sparing with it. Okay. Almost through. And I'll handle the shadows caused by Pippa's hand once I actually have her hand and stuff in there. Pretty hard to do it before that. Wouldn't work very well if I tried to do it right now. Alright, so I wanted a few darker ones. Just kind of around. Mostly on this side, just to make it really look pressed in. Because those rocks are just... They are being shoved into the snowman here. They're not just lightly floating, like, there is a cavity in the snow that did not exist before. And I want a little bit around this bunny, too. Probably the bunny up top as well. Mostly around his little feet. Okay, and I think that's good for the snowman. We'll see if I want to do anything more with it, but no, I think this is looking alright. At most, I might just take, like, the airbrush and just very lightly brush in some pink in a few areas and some yellow. But, you know, it's going to be very light, very sparing. I don't want it to be too strong. Yeah, that's a little better. Kind of get some of those colors in there, and I think that looks good. Let's pull it back just a little bit. Okay, there. So, I think I can get started on Pippa with the last, 30 to 45 minutes that I have here. And I've already figured that I need to start with her neck and her coat here. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I say that a lot, but I realize I want to get the little ribbons in her ears here. Because I didn't do that when I was first drawing her head. I think I'll just draw it on the ribbon layer, even though those were largely meant for the earmuffs. It doesn't matter. I don't feel like making a new layer, so I'm not going to. Let's see, that's the yellow, that's her skin, here's the pink. So I'll just do them roughly the same as here, so there's a blue one on the bottom and a pink one on the top. And you know what, she actually has all these hairpins that I did not put in at all, and I think I should. So I will do those here as well. Okay, so we'll grab the blue first. Is that really the right color? Yeah, it is. Okay. Wasn't sure for a second there, but I think the ribbon on her ear is actually a darker blue, but I want to keep it this light blue for this one. I just want everything to be super pastel. It's a choice. And it's a choice I'm fine with. Let's get some of her cute little accessories in here. I feel kind of ashamed for not drawing them the first time through. Okay. So I'm kind of keeping in mind the perspective as I draw this. I want to make it look like they're facing kind of, that way. I don't think I quite got it with that one. So let's work that out just a little bit. There we go. That's pretty alright. Then what do we got for the rest here? So we got another pink ribbon here. Do I have a higher quality one? Yeah, that should work. I'm not gonna get the little stars on her back hair yet. I'm gonna do that once I actually draw her back hair. But I will get all of the ones on her front hair here. So let's see. Let's see, we got like a little yellow bunny. It's kind of covered by the bunny. Let me turn off the animals for just a little bit, just so I can kind of see where some of these things need to go. So this one's going to be like right here. And I have made the executive decision to keep her hair roughly the same already. So that's why I'm drawing those. Actually, I gotta be careful about that because this is the same layer that the earmuff ribbons are on. Okay, so a little bunny hairpin. Another little pink ribbon just right there, but I think it's like completely covered by the other ribbon, so I'm just going to draw the little hint of it right there. And a little heart. Okay. Next. There's a big hollowed out gold heart on the other side. Like, where is that exactly? Probably right about here. So I don't want it to cover that ribbon. Maybe I should draw these on a separate layer. Okay. I'll stop being lazy. I'll make a new layer. Okay, now I can draw it freely. I keep making it too thick. There we go. Okay, so we got the big hollowed out heart there. We got the PP over at the top. That's going to be mostly covered. Okay. And a little blue ribbon at the bottom. So like this. Okay. And I do think I'll still merge this together with the other layer just because I don't want to deal with it, but I'll go ahead and kind of shade them first. Huh. Yeah, the animal's on top. We're good. For a second there, I thought I made a mistake, but no, all is well. Okay, so I'll lock both these layers. Let me get the yellow shadow color. I do think that this will be mostly shadowed. I think that's fine. This little heart, on the other hand. Yeah, you'll still be on that layer. This one will have some actual shadows on it. But also a little highlight. It looks very plastic to me, so I want to make it look plasticky. And I do think that this ribbon is just going to be like entirely in shadow. So I'll just draw it like that. Okay, and then down here, got some little shadows from all this. And then some little areas where we see the sides and whatnot. And I think that is sufficient there, so I will merge them. And then I want to adjust her hair. Put in some of the little shadow colors around them, so this way they have an actual presence here. Oh yeah, and I guess I should shade those ones too. That seems important. Gotta stop forgetting about these things. And I'll just give them a few little shadows here and there. Just enough to make it clear that they exist. Okay. And back up here. So that this way I can shade the ribbons I forgot. No, Krita, I don't want to go down there. If I did, I would have scrolled down there and clicked on it. Life is hard. Okay. Ribbon. Ribbon. Okay, and then on the ears, get the shadow color, which is this one, I believe, and we'll just blob in a few little shadows around those guys. And there we go. She now has her hair accessories that I forgot about. I still feel a little bad about it. Okay. And now I can collapse the head group again, and I can actually start drawing the coat. Let's see, I want to get the coat and the fluffy part of the coat done at the same time. So I'll go ahead and kind of get the coat first, just because that'll kind of determine a lot of things, and her head is slightly in the way. I need to be able to see. I'll give it back to her later. She doesn't need it right now. Don't worry about it. No Pippas were harmed in the making of this coat. I'm gonna hide the ribbons for a second because they are also kind of in the way. Alright. So at this point, I'm just kind of trying to make the edge smooth. It's a little bit fluffy, so I'll probably mess with the edges a little bit at the end. Not like in the same way I did the snowman or even the fur on the animals, but I just want a little hint of something fluffy. I think that's where that textured smudge tool will actually do what I want, as long as I'm very careful with it. But that will come all the way at the end. I kind of like how I have everything defined right now, so this is just a matter of cleaning. Everything is looking fine. And frankly, I actually got it pretty alright the first time through, so that's nice. I will have less to worry about now. Yeah, I think that's actually all the way around. So now I can get the coat fluff here, not the trim, the coat fluff. There we go. And this one will probably get messed around with the smudge tool too. But right now I just kind of want to get its edges in. I'm not too concerned about colors or anything yet. Just want to get that edge nice and smooth. Nice and clean. So this way I will have a nice place to work. And I'm not convinced that this looks sufficiently fluffy yet. Like, the smudge tool will help, but I think I can make it floofy even without that. I do it all the time in my hard brush only drawings, so there you go. I don't need nothing fancy. Let's see, the button holder I think I have in a different layer. I'm going to hide it for now while I define the edge of this coat. And I just want to get in there. Make sure everything is very, very nice. I guess on this side I'm kind of doing both sides at once, whereas I wasn't doing that on the other side. It's fine. As long as everything gets smoothed, doesn't really matter how I do it. So it's all good. I'm gonna hide the back of the coat for now. Just until I'm ready for it. Which will probably be near the end. Once I have her dress and much of her body more closely defined. So I'm just doing little cloud-like shapes here. I'm trying to vary up the size. I don't think I'm succeeding as well as I should for something like this, but it's okay. I'll be going over it again. I will be. I just know it. I think a lot of what I already had over here is pretty okay, so I'm just following it. Here, not so much. Here, I do really have to change up the shapes. Okay, and now I want to put in a little bit of variation. Break up some of the shapes just a little bit more. Some of them I think I'll leave big like this, but others I want to add just a little bit more fluffy parts to them. And don't be fooled by the color. The colors will be changing quite a lot. They will be. This is just to help me get started. Okay. I'm mostly just doing it in places that I feel like are getting a little bit too samey and boring. I think a lot of what's going to make this look fluffy is going to come in the shading, but I can get a little bit of that done with just the shape, and that'll make the shading that much more convincing. So I try not to be lazy about these things, and I will give Pippa her head back now. Okay. So there we go. There's the start of everything. I guess I'll go ahead and do the fluffy part first, since I'm already here and kind of got things going. So once again, I'm going to kind of start with the airbrush. Actually, no, I should... I want to quickly correct some of these things that I just plopped in because I needed I didn't feel like switching colors. Okay, that's a little better. I didn't really feel the need to bring in the shadows here, but... Okay, so I'm gonna lock in the shadows with the airbrush here. Just kind of get the general gist. I might need another shadow color for some of these darker shadows. Especially kind of like under her hair and stuff. That's honestly seeming kind of likely to me. So I might pick one momentarily. But I guess I'll go ahead and just kind of finish up what I'm doing here first. Just getting the basics in there with the airbrush. Okay, that's fine for basics. Let's go pick another dark color here. I'm just going to do that directly on the swatch layer. I just want to get that purple, and then... Is that a good color? No, I don't like it. Let's try a different one. I don't know, I feel like all of this is too purple. I'm gonna take this color and make it just a little bit more blue. How do you look? If I set you to normal. I want you a little darker. That's good. Okay, I'm satisfied. I do generally like mixing the colors myself, but you know, sometimes you just gotta pick them. And that's fine, too. Okay, and I think I also would like a light color. But this time I don't want to just plop sun color on it. I mean, I'll probably do a little bit of that too, but I actually want like a genuine light color. It'll be based on the sun color. Oh man, that's actually way more yellow than I want. Ah, this is not a saturated yellow at all. Why do you look so bright? How odd. Anyway, let's try something else then. That one's not bad. Okay. It's a little bit yellow, but I think it's in the tolerable range. So I will roll with this one. And I just want some bright spots. Kind of around here. Especially around this part of the sleeve. And then just a little bit right over here. Just a little bit. Okay. And a little bit on here because there's a big old fold there. Okay. So I think that's basics. So the rest is gonna be just kind of texturizing things. And I could do that via blobbing, but I think I want to try it with the textured smudge tool. Because when I was messing around with the snow, that actually gave me something that I thought looked really good for something this fluffy. Just gonna be kind of firm with it. Yeah, that's pretty fluffy. Okay, I just gotta make sure that I get the right kind of thing going with it. There we go. Yeah, that's fluffy. Look at that. There's some fluff. Okay. This is exactly what I want. Maybe a little bit bigger. No. It was better small. Okay. Okay, I don't use the texture smudge tool very often, so I'm not super familiar with its intricacies. So I'm just going to start on the outside here, and once I have that, I'll go ahead and do the inside. I just want a nice space to work with first. It is a little finicky. Smudge tools. They're a bit of a scary tech. You gotta be careful with them. Because you can really mess things up. But I think this is doing what I want, so I'm gonna keep going. I do worry about how much it's cutting inside. Because sometimes I feel like I'm cutting inside and it's getting kind of weird. So that tells me I probably got to start further in and push outward a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, that's working a little bit better. Because I mostly want to push the colors on the inside to the outside. I don't really want to push the nothingness on the outside into the inside if I can help it. There we go. This is looking nice and fluffy now. Look at it go. Look at it go. Rude. Look, I did my best to design it, okay? This kind of aesthetic is a little bit outside my wheelhouse. I just want it to be nice and fluffy. Everything here must be fluffy. Okay. So I think that's pretty alright. Now I just gotta get the rest of the way around, and man, my hand is cramping. Oh man. I had to push kind of hard in order to push it far enough. So, hand cramping just a little bit here. That's alright. I'm almost done. But then I gotta go do the inside, so maybe I should be a little concerned. So this kind of texture is gonna be way too much for what I want on the outside of the rest of the coat there. And I think before I do the inside of all this, I'm gonna go ahead and draw the ribbons that are on the coat. Just so I know which places I don't really have to care about very much. You know, thinking about it, probably should have done that first, actually. But I needed to smooth out the rest of this just to make sure that they were in the right place, but I did not need to make it fuzzy before I did that. Definitely did not. That's alright. So yeah, I'll grab the ribbons real quick. I think I have enough time. There are not very many. They take up a pretty small percentage of all this. So, it should be fine. I want to touch up things here. There we go. That's looking pretty fluffy. Yeah, that looks pretty fluffy. I think I can be happy with that. And it'll look even better once I actually properly shade the inside. Okay. Let's get some ribbons. So here, even though we're seeing slightly from above, the angle that she's standing at is going to change that a little bit. Actually, I do think we see these from above, huh? You know what? I should test that. Do we see this? Or do we see this? No, it's definitely this. It's going up a little bit, but not enough to change that. And I think it's the same over here. Do we see this? Or do we see this? No, on this side it is like this. Since this arm is pushing it upward. No. It's still this. Okay. I had to think about it for a second, but no, I think that is correct. The dark part should go on the top. So I will keep that in mind as I draw here. Well, let's just smooth out the edges on these big old ribbons. They are a little bit rough right now, and you know what? Not working for me. I'm just gonna redraw them. Okay. Let's see, I got another one up here around the neck. I think I'll get that one first, so we'll give her head back a little bit later. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And this will just kind of wrap around the neck here. Okay, I'm gonna actually see where the neck is, so I'm gonna hide all the stuff I just drew there for a minute. So it's kind of like this. There we go. Now I should adjust the coat itself accordingly. Make sure it is properly wrapping around her neck. It's mostly covered. I don't need to worry about it too much, but I do want that to be accurate, so this way I actually know where to draw this ribbon. And, you know, once again, mostly covered, so I'm not really going to clean it. I'm just trying to get the shape of it right. And then we'll have a little ribbon here, little center part here, little ribbon here. Okay, now I can put her head back on. And now I know exactly which parts I have to care about, which is basically nothing, so I'm just going to make the entire thing shadow. Okay. Now I can draw the big ones that are on this part of the coat. So that'll be the center. I don't like the way you're angled, but this is fine. Of course. Definitely gotta make her a proper mega idol. Nothing else is acceptable. Okay, that, like I said, not angled correctly. Let's get that back in there, and I can adjust the other stuff accordingly. It is totally skewed. And I am gonna need to pull some shenanigans to fix that, but I have a start, so I'll take it. Okay, I want this part to be just a little bit thinner. Still feels a little bit skewed, so let's pull this out just a little bit. And it's fine if it's not, like, perfect over there. Ribbons do have little folds in them. And then this will be where the inside is, so I'm just gonna draw that now, just to kind of help me see. And then over here. There we go. The rest I will shade with the airbrush, but these I want them to be very clear. Okay, and I'm still not quite satisfied with the perspective there, so I'm gonna need to push things around a little bit. Please fluff up over there. You be a little shorter. Fluff up over here. Fluff up over here. Like that. Okay. Okay, and now I can just get the shadows on in there. It's gonna be doing something like that. And I think I already have a light color picked. I sure do. So I can make that side nice and light and add in a little shiny ribbon spot. There we go. That's good until I decide to go fix it. Let's go draw the other ribbon first. Okay, so I got a little centerpiece there. I got the little ribbon part coming out. God, there's so many ribbons on this. It's gonna take me forever to draw all that. Oh well. I knew what I was getting into when I picked this style of dress. Actually, why did I do all that? I haven't finished defining the edges. Whatever. Look, this is what happens when I get close to the end of stream. My brain just gets very tired, and then I just kind of do whatever comes to mind. And what came to mind was, oh hey, that's what that ribbon's gonna look like. So there we go. Silly things happen. Actually, I have this backwards. This is the one that's gonna be more open. This one's more closed. I also get more dyslexic. I think. I mean, it's still not quite shaped right, but it's pretty close. It's closer than what I got on my first try with the other one, so I'll take it. Alright, let's fluff all this out. These ribbons are massive. But I think it's the right way to do things here. Everything about the style is just excessively cute. I'm kind of glad I can draw it now. I've tried a couple of times in the past and it just never quite worked. But I think this one's actually looking pretty okay. Like, even without all the other stuff going on in the background, I think just as an outfit, it succeeds at what it set out to do. Just like I said, it's the super cutesy stuff is a little bit outside my personal wheelhouse. I tend to find it a little on the tacky side, I guess you could say. So I'm trying to kind of embrace that a little bit, since I know that this is the kind of thing that people that do like this kind of fashion like. And just even beyond that, when it comes to drawing girls, I do think I'm better at cool than cute. So just going full cute has been interesting. Why can I not get this shaped right? I can't even just copy and paste what I did over there because this is at a slightly different angle. I think that's probably fine. You know what? I'm gonna do the same mistake I did last time and kind of start putting in the shadows and stuff just because it'll make it easier for me to understand what's going on. And then highlight... where are you? Right there. There we are. And a shiny ribbon thing and little shiny ribbon thing there. Okay. How are they looking? Are you sufficiently ribbony? No, I still don't think you're shaped right. I'm still not quite satisfied with that. I think I'm probably gonna have to stop once I get these shaped right, though. And then next time, we'll go ahead and finish off the shading on the coat, and I'll do some hands. Just so this way I can finish off some of these things that I started. I see. I'll have to find it, because I'm actually kind of curious about what other designers have to say. It's like I don't tend to look up those ones because a lot of the time it's just people with like zero background and character design commenting on things. And I don't tend to find that very interesting, but if she actually knows what she's talking about, then yeah, that does sound pretty interesting to see. Okay, that's better. I just had that a little bit too floofed out. And then some of this, I think, will be easier to do with just a little bit of an eraser right there. Oh, yeah. And then once I clean up those edges next time, I think it'll look pretty good. I'm gonna turn off the swatch. And let's see. You know what? I want to take 5 minutes to just go over some of the shadows here, just because I can. I think I was using this color for my atmosphere. I just feel like it, and I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to go through it all, but, you know, like I said, I just kind of feel like it. So I want to kind of erase some of these atmosphere parts on the lightest parts of her face. I'm just using the airbrush, this way it's nice and soft. I have a little bit of a gradation to help me out here. Gonna hide the swatch while I do this. And I think just everything over here is gonna be nice and light. So this is the parts that I'm erasing right now are really only gonna be for the lightest parts, the absolute lightest. The parts basically directly facing the light source. I'm not going to do it on the legs at all. And I'm not even going to do it on the backside, even though I do think some of the light would hit there. That'll be for later. But there we go. Got a little bit of stuff going there. And I'm still going to be pretty rough with this. This is just a quick thing to... I just want to do a little bit of lighting. I just feel like it. I probably shouldn't do it while I'm rushed, but you know what? Who cares? I want to. Okay, so dark. I actually had that little bit defined due to some shenanigans earlier. It is. It's okay. Like I said, it's because I want to. I've been wanting to for a long time. And I just want to do it. Okay, so this is where I erase a little bit on the backside because the sun hits there. Look, sometimes it's hard to stop drawing, especially when I'm having a good time. Why do I keep switching my colors? Anyway. Oh, right. I switch because I forget that I'm using the eraser. And I just want to switch colors. I understand now. But yeah, I really like doing the lighting portion. It's one of those things that I just think that's when everything really starts coming together. So I just wanted to do a little bit with the last 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes that I got here. Because stopping is hard. You know, I said that was going to be the last thing, but it's... I want to do it. I wanna. So this should kind of sell the back lighting a little bit better. Some of this I'm going to take back, but I just kind of want to plop it all in right now. It'll make it a bit easier to take it all back. And I'm just paying a very careful attention to where I think the light hits the most strongly. That's mostly going to be like right through here. And over here it's going to be a little bit bigger than on the other side. But I do think it hits both sides of her. Get some nice little rim light in there, and this is still very messy. It's okay, it'll be cleaned up later. And I'm not going to worry about that hand just yet. Let's see, I think I want just a tiny bit on this part of her coat. Just a tiny bit. Okay, and then the brightest light. So I'll grab my light color and just do a little bit with the light here. Where again, I just feel like it is the strongest. So that'll get most of her hair back here, a lot of that ear. It's not going to get anything on this side. I do think that this side is lighter, but it is not like shiny in direct sunlight bright. This part, however, is. And I just want to get it to the state that I feel like I can keep all these layers on and still just be like, ah, looks wonderful. So happy. Her feet are not going to get any of this light. It's just right here. And I might even make this a little brighter. But I think I'll just leave it there for now. I'm not in a state where I should be picking colors because I gotta go. But yeah, that made a huge difference. I mean, just look at the kind of before and after. So before we had this, and then I just plopped these 3 layers on, and suddenly I have to remind myself of where I'm going sometimes. But yeah. This does tell me that I think a lot of the problems that I have with the picture are probably just contrast issues. Which makes sense, because I'm going for something soft and I'm not used to doing art this soft. But there we go, I'm happy. Lighting fixes everything, and I think I can even go even harder on it than this, so I will look forward to that. But this is where I will stop for today. So, thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.